Raheem Sterling has been a mistake by Arsenal. At least that's the sentiment by most Arsenal fans right now during international break. And I remember on deadline day, I made a YouTube video saying that we have to get ourselves a winger. I don't care how, but we had to get ourselves a winger. We had to get ourselves cover for Bukayo Saka. And after letting guys like Reece Nelson, heck, Emil Smith-Rowe, Fabio Vieira, all of them are able to play out wide in some capacity, it felt like we just had to get ourselves cover for Bukayo Saka, because last season that was a huge reason why we saw that dip in form from Bukayo, because he was played practically every minute of every game. So it was widely known that we needed ourselves a winger. Don't care how, but we had to get ourselves a winger. So come the end of deadline day, I was pretty satisfied. Was I extremely excited? No, but I was pretty satisfied that we got ourselves a winger, a former Premier League champion, someone with a lot of experience in Raheem Sterling. Now, Raheem Sterling hasn't been his best at Chelsea. I knew that, but I thought, we saw Havertz struggle at Chelsea and then he thrives under Arteta. I thought, although he might not be the Havertz for us, he's a loan deal. Chelsea still paying most of his wages, kind of a low risk, high reward kind of loan signing. That's how I saw it. And as of right now, it's not really paid off. Now, again, we aren't paying most of his wages. It is only a loan deal. So even if it doesn't pay off come the end of the season, it's really not a train smash. Is it ideal? No, but it's really not a train smash. Look, if we actually go back to the move to Arsenal, right? There were kind of signs if you think about it, right? Arsenal to get Raheem Sterling was very last second. Apparently, there's a report saying that it took them 10 seconds to agree on Raheem Sterling because Arteta had worked with him in Man City and they needed themselves a winger. Edu needed to pull off something, and there was an option there to get Raheem Sterling on a loan deal with not much risk to it because Chelsea's going to pay most of the wages. Whereas we know with Arteta's successful signings, you look at Declan Rice, you look at Kai Havertz, you look at Fiori. These guys, Arteta, Edu, Arsenal, they had been scouting and looking at for almost a year before they make a move. Whereas Raheem Sterling, although of course they know about him, they've watched him play, they weren't really fully scouting him, and it was kind of a last minute move, which again maybe makes sense as to why there are these new reports around London Colney that Arsenal aren't really happy with how Sterling has performed in training and in matches. And even when you look at Raheem Sterling in those matches, he played 2 Carabao Cup games, 1 against Preston, 1 against Bolton. He scored against Bolton. He's had very limited Premier League appearances, and that's pretty much it. There's been nothing else that he's brought to the table in Premier League games and Carabao Cup games. Even in those Carabao Cup games against Bolton and Preston, I wouldn't classify Sterling's performances as anything out of the ordinary. I wouldn't classify any of those performances as really elite. Now again, we saw with Havertz, it does take time to adapt to this Arsenal system coming from Chelsea, so maybe there's that. But you would think with Raheem Sterling's experience, how long he's been playing, he's 29 years old, the mentorship he's likely given to the team, on the field he should be able to adapt at least slightly quicker than Havertz did. At the end of the day, he's played under so many different managers so many different times, so you'd expect him to be able to adapt a lot quicker, but it is what it is. And like I just mentioned, reports are indicating that Sterling's performances in training hasn't met Arteta's standards, and it's contributing to his lack of playtime. And again, this is a little bit worrying as an Arsenal fan to hear, because you don't want to be hearing that. He's not playing well. He's a veteran, so you'd expect him to at least be good in training, but he's not playing well in game. He's not playing well in training, and Arteta isn't happy with him. That isn't great news for us. Now again, once again, it is a low risk, low reward, a only loan move. It's not a Willian situation where we've signed him for a 3-year deal. That at least is something to kind of relax ourselves about. But this move right now, it sounds crazy. It is kind of feeling a lot like the Willian move. Like, he's not providing a lot in training. We thought he'd be a better mentor than he apparently is being. We thought he'd be better on the field for us than he is. And it's kind of getting to a point where there's a lot of mixed fan sentiment. Like, some fans kind of appreciate his experience still and his mentorship towards the younger players, but a lot of the fans, most of the fans, are saying that he's blocking emerging talents from the Arsenal Academy, because we have tons of them right now, and he is not really providing anything on the field that is worth taking minutes away from potential youth kids. You can even put Wanyeri at right wing if you need to. And again, with these reports coming out that Sterling isn't performing well in training under Arteta, you got to think to yourself, was this a mistake? Now, if I'm being honest, I still think it's way too early to assess that. I think by come March, we can assess if this was a mistake, if he provided absolutely nothing. But with what we know he is providing, right? We know he is providing decent mentorship, at least. At the bare minimum, he's providing decent mentorship, and he's providing a person who has won the Premier League title several times by providing that experience for the team. So there is that. Inherently, that is very good for us. Now, on the pitch, I'm not saying he's been performing well, but he hasn't been horrible. Now, he hasn't been good. He is going to definitely be a backup, but he's kind of just playing the Reece Nelson role, except we sent Reece Nelson out to Fulham, and Reece Nelson is getting consistent game time at Fulham. And if Sterling doesn't doesn't get consistent game time this season at Arsenal, it doesn't hurt us at all. Reece Nelson can come back, we can sell him, we can put Reece Nelson back into this position. I don't really think it's the end of the world. Now, I would have preferred Sterling to be performing much better than he has been. There's no doubt about that, of course, but I don't know. It's not the end of the world if he isn't performing well. Now, again, these reports, if they are fully true, is a little bit worrying that he's not performing well at training neither, but you got to hope that maybe he's just still adapting. It's going to take time. I mean, Kai Havertz took about 6 months to fully adapt and actually become the player we needed him to be, so you can hope maybe that Sterling takes the same amount of time, maybe even a little bit quicker. But listen, I completely understand the concerns from Arsenal, from the fans. I'm with them. It is a little bit concerning, but if you just step back, take a look at the big picture, it's really not the end of the world. Once again, his high wages are currently being paid by mostly Chelsea. This is not a permanent move. We don't have to turn it into a permanent move. And once again, Arteta has still worked with Sterling before. He knows Sterling's pressure points, and he could end up playing an important role come the end of the season, especially when we face challenges right now in our attack and creative play. Maybe after this international break, after Sterling gets to work yet another international break with Arteta and Arsenal, maybe he actually starts to figure it out in what he's supposed to do. And you never really know, he might regain his form under a manager he's worked with before, and he might just start at least somewhat turning into a decently good player that can provide us some really good minutes off the bench. I don't think he'll ever be the prime Raheem Sterling, far from it, but I think at the age 29, he's not too old to imagine that under Arteta on a loan deal, he could regain some form and at least provide some really good minutes off the bench, which is something, let's be honest, he hasn't really done since his move to Arsenal. So was it a mistake? No, I think it's way too early to say that. In maybe 2 or 3 months time, we can talk about it again. For now, I think we should just keep backing him, hoping Arteta can get the best out of him. And you never know, he might end up becoming a really good loan signing, providing some good minutes off the bench and some crucial mentality shifts come the end of the season.